the show.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook and YouTube. Just go to your Facebook page, look us up, or hit see first to see and hear all the great programs we have here on WNHHLP. And just a reminder, Cannabis Corner is also streaming live on the Greenhaven Media Facebook page and ProCannabisMedia.com. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. It is Monday, August 24th, 2026. Welcome to Cannabis Corner. I am your host, Joe LaChance, Joe the Weed Guy. And, of course, I am joined here by the one and only Uncle Lou, Farmer Lou. How are you today?
Hey, how's it going, brother? How's it going? Just pushing forward. How was your weekend? How are you?
My weekend was very good. We had an event on Saturday.
Okay.
With the Burn and Learn, and I debuted my new t-shirt this week. For those people who don't know, I have a couple t-shirt designs that I do. The first one was the Make America Green Again, but I just created a new one.
All right.
Get the flock out.
Get the flock out, brother. Okay.
Yeah. And it's got a nice picture. I don't know if people can see it. It's got a nice picture of a flock camera on it with a big X through it. And, you know, I just want to get the word out there as much as we can. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I was talking to Harry about this earlier, and I was obviously talking to people about it at the event, because most of us are very like-minded. We like our freedom. You know what I mean? Obviously, in our community, we like our freedom. And we realize how much of a danger it is to us. So a few people picked them up, and they were wearing them around. I put up some pictures on the internet. But, you know, one thing about t-shirts, okay, they may be able to censor your speech online, and they may be able to detect if you have a bumper sticker on your car or whatever. But one thing they cannot do is take the clothes off your back. And for me, something like wearing a t-shirt or a hat with a message on it is a very effective way of spreading your message without even saying a word. You know what I mean? And this is how you find like-minded people. If you wear a shirt like this out to the grocery store, I guarantee you 2 or 3 people are going to walk up to you and say, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. And then they become part of your movement. This is how we did it with weed, right? You wear a weed t-shirt, you find out who else is weed friendly. And you know what I mean? And then you develop your little community out of it. So that was my reason for doing this. Because I'm a big believer that they cannot take the shirt off your back. You know?
That's right.
And
You know that, brother, but they will try.
well, you know, it was interesting. I went to this meeting last week in Milford at the town hall. It ended up being a presentation. And it was more like a marketing presentation. They literally had the balls to bring in the guy from the third-party company that collects the fines. Because you know this whole... And they did basically a marketing presentation. And so it was a 3-hour meeting. They spent 2 hours talking about those cameras and taking a few questions. By the time they got to the flock cameras, the chief had to give a presentation like we were children about flock cameras. I left the meeting early. I got so disgusted. I came home, I got on the computer, and I designed this t-shirt. I went to the printer the next day, which was a Thursday, and I sent him over the email, and I went over and talked to him. He was a local guy in Milford. I had him by Friday, and I had him out by Saturday because I was that pissed off and motivated about this issue. So anyway, that's how you make something happen real quick. Use your anger as motivation.
That's right.
So anyway, that's my
Well,
story. I had a
well,
great weekend.
Joe, that's what creates activists.
I know, and I want to
That
thank.
that anger, there's probably a large constituents of people that are now finally looking into things, and that's where they're at.
Well, you're right. You're right, and I want to thank the city of Milford
Hmm.
for riling me up and getting me going again. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I've said it many times that I was not going to get involved with cannabis activism anymore. As far as the legislators, I was more about promoting the community. But
And you know what? Even with doing that, brother, these are still topics that affect all of us because privacy rights, knowing where we're going, that affects all of us, not just cannabis users, but we see cannabis users overlap so many different places. So
yeah,
hopefully this helps
well, this is
a
it.
lot of people.
Yeah, right, exactly. And for me, it's just like I can't, if it's an issue that's important to me. Like, look, there's a lot of issues I could be an activist about. There's a lot of issues you could be an activist about. I chose weed because legalizing weed was important to me. It was a very huge issue. And then once that job was done and I saw what the state did to it, both of us kind of really decided, look, I'm done with that. I'm going to go focus on the community, the cannabis community that helped weed get legal in the first place, right? And so I feel like this is an issue that is really of the same caliber to me, my freedom. Like, if you're not willing to fight for your freedom, then what are you willing to fight for?
That's right. That is right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You're 100%
The
right,
fight for
brother.
cannabis was about freedom. Freedom for the plant, freedom for us to grow, freedom. It was about freedom at the heart. Now, this is the same thing. And that's just how I feel. If you're not willing to fight for your freedom, what are you willing to fight for?
That's right, brother.
What did they say? Those who choose security over freedom
We
deserve neither.
150 years. This is what the whole thing is about. Now we're gonna move into this state. This is not what our forefathers wanted. You know
No,
what I mean?
and I'm really glad because I live in Milford, and this
Yep.
is a major issue for me. I travel around that city, so I'm really glad the city of Milford did this because they lit a fire under my butt, and and I know that when I'm going, you
It
know
took,
what I mean. It took 7 years, but we got weed legal. Let's
that's
put it
right.
that
And
way.
and now we have some good shows we've been putting on with all the connections of it because it helps connect people.
Well, right. Cannabis intersects. Next week, we're going to have the guys from Park City Harvest on. Now, that
Right.
is all about growing your own food and becoming sustainable.
That's
And
right.
that's all a big part of it because if you really have your eyes wide open and you look what's going on, that is going to be the direction you should head.
Grow your food, grow your cannabis, fight for your freedoms. Where I was even taking this next thing, I was going through something, and the retro world. We're looking at older things. I'm hoping an older friend helps do some stuff. Look through old collections. Physical media is something that's huge now.
But
People are
that's,
trying. You know,
yeah.
pe- People don't want to be in this all the streaming services, always on the internet. So creating your own physical media library.
Right. I wish I hadn't sold all my vinyl records. I sold my whole collection, when I had to move out of my mom's house. I had nowhere to put them.
All in the times that we do with the times that we have to. You know what I mean, brother?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's so true. We become so dependent on the internet and streaming and our phones, and they know it.
Yep.
They know it. It's almost like they built the bars, but we decided to walk into the prison.
Right.
And now a lot of people are realizing that it really is a prison, like a digital prison.
Well,
And they want to get out of it.
the video game world is taking up that one topic huge because physical media is a huge thing, and video games no longer or soon they will
They're
no
all
longer.
online. They're subscription.
Right. So the license. So if you purchase the video game for the $100 or whatever it is, you would at least have that physical piece of media that no matter what you could play.
Right, you had the cartridges. I remember.
Right now, it's a digital license that can be revoked at any time. So you're still
Right.
gonna pay the $50 for the game digital download, and then they can revoke it. You know what I mean?
You
I'm
don't own it. What did they say? That you will own nothing
right.
and be happy.
That's
And
right.
and you know what I mean? That is like that's the world. And you know what? I was talking to Harry about this. You're always when you're fighting the system, you always got to fight. The system. I almost know how the system thinks, so it's very. I know how to fight the system. But you know who sometimes becomes your worst avatar or your adversaries? Your own fellow citizens. Because believe it or not, and just like with cannabis, there are people in your community who live around you who actually want this stuff, who actually think it's a good idea. And sometimes your own fellow citizens become your worst adversaries, worse than the system itself. And I even found this in cannabis. There were always people who would come out and believe the propaganda and say how bad it was, and they'd be willing to fight for their viewpoint. And there are people out there now who are willing to fight for their viewpoint that security is good, that the surveillance state is good because it solves crime. Because why? The police said so, because the government says so. There are still a lot of people out there like that, and they end up becoming your biggest adversaries. So anyway,
That's right. That's the way the battle has been going.
well, that's how I went with cannabis, right?
Yep. 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 So
Yeah.
more topics, more pushing forward, more everything because we've given up so much of the rights. I'll ask you from your generational viewpoint. You know what I mean? Like my generation, where I'm an elder millennial.
Mm-hmm.
I come from the '85, so we had analog, and then we went into digital. We're that micro generation.
So
You,
right,
which
I'm the
generation
micro.
are you?
I am technically a boomer, but I'm
Okay,
in the same situation as you
okay,
because I'm a late boomer. I'm in that period between boomer and Gen X. They call the Generation Jones. Just
okay.
like the way you are at the end of the millennial generation or an
I'm at the
early
beginning.
millennial, right?
I'm at the
I'm a late
beginning.
boomer. You're an early millennial, right?
Right,
So realistically, you kind of blend into Gen X. You're in the
right.
same
And
position
so do you.
I'm in. Right. That's probably why we get along
Yep.
because we're kind of like in between both. And I
So
prefer Gen X, and I bet
we're
you
in
do
that
too.
wider scope. You know what I mean? So we're in that wider scope. There's 25-year difference between us.
But we're both stuck in that mid generation part.
Right. So our ideas on what we liked physical
Yes.
records. I had an Atari, I had a Nintendo. You had a record player, you had
Right.
tape decks, you know,
Yes.
you had an 8-track probably,
I had
right?
an 8 track. Yes, I did. Of
See?
course.
So now we started moving from those things, which the ribbons made it hard to keep that
Right,
physical
right.
data
But then
forever.
CDs, though, they
CDs, though, exactly. The physical media that was put onto CD discs and that early form of data storage, because remember, it was still being stored,
yes,
so it hasn't changed. We can still pull this data as long as it's not corrupted. So that tape would get magnetized, you lose the data on it. But those CDs, as long as they were preserved,
yeah, not
that held the
scratched. Yeah,
information,
yeah.
and it's
They're
pretty cool.
almost like you little mini USBs. You had
Yeah,
that album. You had
yep,
that CD. You had that album. You know what I mean? And if you wanted that digital version of it, you could rip it off.
yep.
Not anymore, dude. And even myself, I find that I rely more on Spotify, even though I have a CD player in my car, and I still do have some CDs left over from back in
Well,
the
that's
day.
where we start to mix mediums. We create our
Yeah.
own servers. You know, I have some friends who have taken all their physical DVDs and gotten the download, ripped it, done whatever, and they have an entire server that they can access from any place in the world, and they're able to watch all of their home movies that they have that they've
Right.
uploaded to their server. You know, no end date, no blackout date, no restrictions, no nothing. Send the private
No
IP.
renewal, no paying every month.
No, wants to send it. Wants to send it
Yeah.
to somebody. Has a new friend. Wants to send his whole collection to them. He sends the whole, log in and access.
Yeah. I mean,
No,
we got to start doing that.
and
This
now
is
I'm
what I'm
seeing
saying.
also the node networks. So all of these things are happening, and we have to be able to adapt.
Yeah, it's time that the people, us, them, all of us, got together and, like you say, this could be an alternative to Spotify, which
Right?
is how it started. If you remember, Napster was a peer to peer.
Yep.
And we could do that again because, again, we have to start creating a parallel system. Let's put it that way, like with the food, like we talked about, like Park City Harvest coming on next week. Well,
And so what do we have any? We definitely rambled a little bit, which I love because this was a good combo, and our guest is going to be great on that next one. But did we? Let's hit up. Do we have any events coming up? Do we have any little house?
nothing really in cannabis right now that I could see. Although that I know, I'll tell you, this is important to my heart, and I can grab the date real quick.
Yes.
But it's a beach cleanup right at Silver Sands Beach in Milford, and it's sponsored by Connecticut and Burn and Learn. So I'm gonna get the date of it right here. I know I have it in my inbox, and because it's right near my house, I can't find it right now, but I'll get the date. I will definitely be participating, and who knows what else? You know what I'm saying? But the date is in September. It is co-sponsored by Connecticut and the Burn and Learn Center, and it is a beach cleanup at Silver Sands Beach. That's important. I also know that in Hartford on the 31st, which is next Monday, there is an event called Defend Puerto Rico, and it is a film premiere there by a Puerto Rican filmmaker, and they've been traveling around the country and doing this presentation, but it's also kind of an activist gathering to get together to defend Puerto Rico. And of course, you and I have discussed what's going on down there, and how they've been, the kind of crisis that they're in right now, and how the owners here in the U.S. are really doing nothing to help them. But anyway, that's going on the 31st in Hartford, and I'll get the exact date for that. But this Thursday, there is a meeting in Milford again, supposedly with the aldermen, in Milford at the City Hall on Thursday. I think it starts at 6. Jonathan probably has more info about that. But this is another Deflock meeting. So yeah, there's a few things going on, Lou. And I will definitely get all the information on that for next week. And we'll have a big calendar for September. Because, again, we're off for Labor Day. All right, but with us now is our guest, Mr. Jonathan Johnson. And Jonathan is the founder of Deflock Connecticut and the Connecticut Libertarian Party. So he's got his fingers in a couple things, and I know Jonathan for a while. And he is one of those type of guys who is similar to me. When he finds an issue that he believes in, he's going to go out and fight for it. So, Jonathan, and we just had a long discussion about that. I don't know if you heard, but Jonathan, welcome to the show. I'm very, very happy to have you on. I know we met quite a few years ago, and that was on the cannabis front, and now here we are back again with another issue. Deflock, and I don't know if you saw, I did go out and make some shirts. that say get the flock out. Because, but welcome, Jonathan. Tell us a little bit about what's going on. What, besides Deflock, what you know, a little bit about yourself, and kind of what made you get involved in Deflock, Connecticut, and start up this petition that we're going to talk about.
Sure. Awesome. Well, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me on. It's great to connect with you here on your show. And yeah, like we met each other years ago with some cannabis activism.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just reconnected again on on the streets protesting and showing up on the Deflock issue. So it was great to connect with you. And yeah, so I mean, honestly, it's like I'm just a freedom-loving guy. I believe in freedom. I believe in civil rights. I believe in personal freedoms and people being able to make their own choices with their bodies, with their livelihoods, for their own families, all those kinds of things, and
Libertarian stuff.
libertarian stuff. Yeah, and so these kind of things led me to libertarianism. I saw like what Democrats were offering, what the Republicans were offering, especially in the state of Connecticut, and I just felt like libertarianism aligns better with my personal philosophy. And although we're the third largest party in the United States, but
I want to talk to you about that. But keep going what you're doing.
But I really see that there's this opportunity that the libertarians, I think, strike a great balance between the other parties, but they're just radically different in so many areas at the same time, and that it really represents a great opportunity for some other political philosophy to grow here in the state. That I really think that when people get into the tenets of libertarianism and what it really believes, that a lot of people will agree with it. And it's like just an issue like what's happening now with the flock cameras and automatic license plate readers and this digital surveillance state that's coming up around us. It's like here's another opportunity where this liberty mindset, this freedom mindset, addresses this perfectly. And so I'm concerned about what's been going on around the state. I don't want to live in a police state. I don't want to live in a surveillance state. I believe I have a right to freedom of travel, up to privacy, without the government having the power to record me driving around, doing what I do on a daily basis with my family, putting some data in some AI algorithmic database where they're going to record my car, the dents on my car, who's driving the car, any information they possibly can on us. Like, and the thing is too, it's like one of the biggest things I hear from the flock side. Oh, these cameras. Oh, if you got nothing to hide, those kind of people. It's that it's not necessarily just that there's flock cameras and the license plate readers.
Right. We know the overall scope of this. Yeah, where it's headed.
Exactly. What technologies are going to be available to the state and to these towns in the future, right? It never just, once you give a government power, it never relinquishes it. It only grows it. So yeah. I'm not just afraid of what we got going on around us. I know that the future doesn't look bright when we're allowing these things to happen now. So it's really important for everyone around the state to step up, to stand up, to speak out and say no and show up on this issue now. Because if we don't do it now and we allow these things to go on, it's only going to get worse in the future.
Yeah, and this is a bipartisan issue. This has nothing to do with red or blue or any of that woke or anything like that. This is something that we all can unite over. And that's the most important part. As far as I'm concerned, I don't even want to know what party affiliation you are. I'm not even going to ask you. I don't care. As long as you are for this cause. Do you know what I mean? And I see a lot of that going on, and I don't like it. But I understand where it comes from, more from ego than anything else. But we can leave it at that. But yeah, I find that the opposition, I was talking to Lou about this earlier, that sometimes the citizens themselves become bigger adversaries than the state. It's almost like they're minions, if you know what I'm trying to say. I found this in the fight for cannabis, and I also found in the fight for cannabis, there were people who were only willing to go so far, and then they would drop out. Like when the heat came on, they disappeared. Now, you may see that with this. There are ways to prevent it, but What we need are people like you who stay with the fight. I can put myself in that category, who are willing to go as far as it takes.
Mm-hmm.
It took 7 years to legalize weed here in Connecticut. We ran up every kind of opposition you could find. And every time we found a way to push forward through the obstacles that they would put in front of our face. And there were a lot of them. But 7 years, and along the way of those 7 years, people came and went when they, and there was only a small core group of people who ended up actually having the fortitude and the strength to carry on and the vision to see that it was possible. And we need more people like that within this movement. And I see a few, because that is the only way we're going to win this, and I hate even.
And here's the thing about this fight versus cannabis. Cannabis needed a lot of awareness, a lot of attention, a long duration of time to be able to sway public opinion to a position where people felt comfortable that this is a plant. This is people's personal, usage or relationship, or it's a plant that grows out of the ground.
Right, it was given to us by the creator, whatever you believe.
Yeah, and it's like people need to break through the stigmas and understand that this is, this is not some detrimental thing to society that the state has whipped these things into for decades. It's not. And then once the momentum started shifting, at the end of the day, though, the thing is this: the state of Connecticut is taking advantage of cannabis. There's a bunch
time.
There's a bunch of parts of cannabis legislation that I disagree with.
Me too.
There's not enough freedom. There's not enough freedom. You should have more You should have more freedom with home grow. You should have more freedom with maybe bartering with and being
or the farmers market thing like they did in New York.
The cottage industry, and be able to sell it like you sell vegetables and jelly at your house to your friends, and maybe it's like I think it should be way less regulated now. The state of Connecticut found the advantage, and they had the political, willing
the money.
They wanted tax money, and
they were getting money, lobbying money from big corporations to capture the market. And Connecticut has a history of that. Yep. So I don't know why we're so surprised that they over-regulated and handed it over to monopolies. And made it so difficult for the average person to get into the game. They make it easier for you to sell cigarettes. They make it easier for you to sell liquor than they do cannabis. And both of them are much more harmful. So when they try to tell you that this is for your own safety, no, wrong. You under-regulate the things that are really dangerous, and you over-regulate the things that actually could help people. So this is the whole hypocrisy of this state, and we're all about the people. No, you're not. You're all about the corporations. You're all about big money. You're all about who's going to contribute the most to your campaign. Yep.
It's on both sides. It's on both sides of the aisle, which is why I'm definitely both sides of the aisle and saying there's got to be something that ensures our freedom better. And that's how I ended up where I'm at with, chairman of the Libertarian Party.
Let's talk about the Libertarians for a minute. And I'm going to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
I have always voted Libertarian, okay? Since Gary Johnson, since I was allowed to vote again, because I was a felon. But, and I voted for Gary Johnson twice. I voted for Joe Jorgensen. And I've always been at this point where I'm waiting for the Libertarian Party to really make a mark, make a name, really stand up and fight. And I know a lot of it has to do with the system and the way they set it up, so you're not allowed to get into the debates, and that stuff needs to be changed. But I mean, is it a case of funding, or is it a case of leadership? Because I'll be honest with you, I was not happy with their presidential candidate this year. And I did not vote Libertarian for the first time in 4 elections. I actually voted Green Party, which again is another case. They've been around forever and ever, and they have never really made a splash. What is it, and how come? Because we are definitely in need of more options here in this country. This two-party system is strangling. We know it's a uniparty. And I've been hearing rumblings from people, oh, we got to start a third party, third party. Well, we have a third party here, and they do stand for liberty and freedom. Is it a marketing publicity thing? What is it, Jonathan?
I'm going to solve all the problems of the Libertarian Party in the next 5 minutes. No, just joking. I can give you some ideas on what I think is where we can improve and how we can grow as a party and as a movement. It's top down and it's bottom up. It really is. There's decisions made at the top of maybe there's presidential choices that could be better, like trying to bring along better candidates, do more top down marketing campaigns, do more fundraising nationally that can really put the Libertarian Party on the map. Maybe it's advertising, commercials, social media marketing, like all those kinds of things. And I think that it really comes down to, like, as far as the state party goes, that we're really willing to put our principles where our feet are. It's like,
well, yeah, you're on the ground right now.
Where the principles are. It's like, if we really believe in freedom, we really believe in liberty, then we should be on the ground. We should be the people standing down the side of the street. We should be standing with Milford. We should be standing with going to West Hartford Forum. We should be standing with these towns and cities. And we have great ideas, really. And so it's a little bit of it's a willingness to get your hands dirty and really get out there and do the real work of liberty and organizing. And some other parties, I'll say probably specifically the Democrats and a lot of these political action committees and stuff that have these big bucks, they put out these really nice slick campaigns that are really well funded, and they got advertising and they got matching signs and matching t-shirts and this cool website, and they got, they're cool speakers, and they do all these things. And it's in some way that's kind of brainwashing manipulation, but when we're doing it for freedom, when we're doing it for freedom,
but it works, right?
Right, we're going to do it for good. We should be emulating kind of their ground game and be that's why I printed the signs I printed, because
that's why I did the shirts. They can't censor your clothing,
right? And you can have a unified message so that we look like, when you take a picture of a crowd or look at the crowd of people on the news camera and you say, what are they about? It's it's going to be clear. They're against flock cameras. There's a call to action to sign a petition. You sign a petition, you're an email subscriber. Now there's 560 signatures. Now there's 560 people that we can connect with and say, come to the next rally, come to the next protest, come stand with the people in Milford, come stand with the people in the next town that are pushing back against it, and doing that grassroots organizing work. And, it's I'm not out here doing Deflock for the Libertarian Party of Connecticut. I'm out here as a concerned citizen that wants to see political change in my town, or where my kids are growing up, things like that. And at the end of the road, if that standing up gives some highlight to the fact that there is a third party in the state that's currently writing a resolution, should have it passed tomorrow, to have an official stance to remove all flock and ALPRs and any other state surveillance and local state surveillance cameras across the state, delete all the databases, change the laws to outlaw them. That's the kind of stance we can take as a political party, and then we can also show up alongside whoever is fighting for this issue in the state. And I have some experience in starting up a couple political or action committee kind of things. I ran a cannabis event, which is I think where we met.
Yeah.
And I've done a couple of the campaigns like that. It's let's take the lessons of these successful groups, let's benchmark them, let's try to do some things that really work to grow and create awareness on good issues, on freedom issues that actually, and in turn, eventually, more and more people recognize that the Libertarian Party is taking stances on issues and they really mean what they say and are doing it. More and more people will be interested in actually getting involved with our party. That's how I can fight for my freedom, and then it also down the road will benefit the party without me having to put the party at the forefront, being the banner that I'm always rallying under is not a political party. It's always liberty. And at the end of the day, if a bunch of us want to get together and say, I think this third option with these other philosophies is actually a better choice for me and myself, my family, let's continue to grow the party that way.
Right, right.
That's
No,
what
I
I'm doing.
agree. I think the time is right now. You know what I mean? People are disgusted. They are starting to realize it is a uniparty, that they're just two wings of the same bird. And, the Libertarian Party, if you do look at their things, is definitely for freedom and liberty. So, no, I agree. And, I appreciate what you're doing here in this state. And I would call people to look into it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
let's
please do.
talk about this election coming up here in Connecticut now. Democrats and Republicans have had their primaries. We know who's who and who's running for what. What candidates do you have here in Connecticut? In what districts do you have a gubernatorial candidate?
So this year we've had to actually not run a gubernatorial candidate. We're actually, I would say, call us in a little bit of a rebuilding phase. We had a lot of really great momentum. We've run a governor candidate.
Yes.
We had one in 2018 on the ballot. We had Dr. Aaron Lewis attempt to get on the ballot in 2020. It was at the tail end of the COVID regulations. And what happened is we did all this work and all this effort to get all these signatures. And basically, by some technicality, the state was able to rule that they were going to bar Aaron Lewis from ballot qualification. So I don't have the exact details of the specifics of how that went down, but that's what happened that prevented him from being on the ballot. And so, and then what happens with it's like the last election was very encompassing of people's mindsets. And every year the Democrats and Republicans get together and they say this is the most important election of our lifetime. If you vote for
Right.
the other person, it's going to be the end of the world. And I think almost more than ever, the last probably two elections, but especially in 2024, there was this massive polarization where there was no consensus and everyone
Yeah.
was just so much in. And so it drove a lot of people, I feel like, from third parties and independents and things like that to subscribe to that they had to vote for one of these two candidates because it was so important. And our party was locally and maybe even nationally, Chase Oliver's candidacy was a lower turnout year. So, and in our party too, we had some people that were like looking more at the main two parties because they felt like, that was going to serve them better. Although it's almost like a uniparty. Like no matter which one of those two choices you vote for, you
It's
almost get
all
the same
headed the
result.
same way. See, the thing is about both parties is they're both controlled by the same people. And if you're not understanding that, it's about they're controlled by money. And they're both all the candidates, if you look at who donates, they both have many donors in common. There are a lot of super PACs, a lot of one called APAC. They also they're corporate, Pfizer, and they all contribute to all their different, both Republicans and Democrats. So they're all beholden, realistically, to who pays for their campaigns to keep them in office. And that's the bottom line. And that includes the president himself. Because a lot of people don't know about Trump and JD Vance is that Peter Thiel, and we all know who Peter Thiel is, right? He's like the evil overlord of all of this. Was JD Vance's mentor and biggest backer.
Mhm.
Okay. So, I mean, we're really looking at this octopus and the tentacles, and we see that the tentacles are in both parties. You know what I mean? And that leaves people who really feel disaffected by both parties, by all this division. People who really have it, who know the truth that the only way we're ever going to survive in this world if the people themselves unify and become one solid force, right? Because we know who the true enemy is, and I don't care if it's your state government or your federal government, it is above that. So anyway, I've
Yeah.
been
So I want to jump in. I'll finish. I'll wrap up on this a little bit just by saying we only have a couple real serious candidates. It looks
yeah,
like
tell
this
me who
year,
they are.
which is a rebuilding year, right? And so I looks to right now we haven't endorsed. We actually haven't had our official endorsements finalized yet. We don't submit those to the first week of September, so it might even be really premature for me just to give you like an exact candidate list at this time. So I'll just like defer to that.
Yeah,
But
what
I know,
districts?
I believe Congressional District 3, I believe. And then there's state representative district in the Coventry area. I think those are the two real candidates that we know look like they're going to be officially endorsed by the Libertarian Party for this election year. So for our standpoint, it is a little bit of a down year as far as participation, but we're actually looking more towards municipal elections. Those are actually more winnable. They're smaller. Sometimes they're uncontested races where a Democrat typically, but sometimes a Republican doesn't even have a
Right.
challenger. And so like we're really like just trying to encourage people to plug into the Libertarian Party now so that when the municipal elections next year come in, we can get more people on town councils and on board of educations and things like that are libertarians that will fight back from the inside on these issues like Deflock. So yeah, that's kind of the status right now. It's like we're really doing a rebuilding. We're doing we just revamped our website as the Libertarian Party Connecticut, which is a great, much better marketing vehicle than what we had before. We're trying to we're actually hosting more social events. Like we just actually had a showing of the movie Idiocracy in Manchester at the Parkade last week.
Nice.
Yeah. And we have like a meetup of just like at a tavern to like, hoist a beer, ask questions, meet with people. So we're going to do more social events so we can get more people involved so that by this time next year, I'm going to tell you about how we have multitudes of candidates hopefully running for municipals. That'll lead us to 2028 when we can have hopefully even more stronger state representative candidates. Because my goal really is to see Libertarian, actually, the goal of the whole party is to win elections. So,
you got to get a couple in there.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. So I'm working towards it.
Gone are the days, where an independent can win now. It's a shame, even if they're,
This is the thing. So many people are looking for a third choice. Like, I forget the exact number. I feel like it was like 46% of people identify as independent or unaffiliated. Like,
right.
The numbers are there that it's like the two teams they barely even have a majority between the two of them. So if, there's so much room for growth. And in this state, I feel like it's a little bit of it's a one-party government. So it's like pretty much the Democrats win every election. They have 70-30 in the state house. They got the governor pretty much. They've had it for like the last 20 years or something. Even
since Jody Rell, that's a long time.
Yeah. So it's like, and from my standpoint, it's like, we know if you go vote for the most part right now for the two candidates that are on the ballot, you pretty much know a Democrat's going to win. Like Ned Lamont's 9, I don't know what the percentage is, but he's going to win probably, right? So it's like, it's too bad that like last year Aaron Lewis didn't get on the ballot because he was such a dynamic candidate. And to what you were saying before, it's like from the top down, like we would really want to attract like great, like if we can attract dynamic people who are really going to connect with people, communicate the values of libertarianism publicly, and really do that work to get out there, meet and greet, and like be on the ground and fight and be seen. Whether it's a libertarian presidential candidate or a libertarian gubernatorial candidate, a state representative candidate, even a municipal election candidate, right? We can really help. We can get some people involved, plugged in. We'll give them whatever resources we can, and hopefully get those dynamic people out there that are going to really attract people, get those election wins that we need. And once people see more election wins happening, the ball starts rolling downhill. Start believing it's possible that if they win as a libertarian. If somebody won as a libertarian, they can do it too. You got 3-minute mile.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is. That's kind of like that. Yeah.
On municipal boards and things like that, a couple elected people. Again, it's just like a handful right now, but we're rebuilding, we're growing. We're looking to really grow here in the future.
Well, good. Anything we can do to help make that happen. Let's drill down real quick now on Deflock, Connecticut. This petition you have. And also your fundraiser to make more signs, because this is an important part of activism. If you're going to protest, you need a sign. You know what I mean? If you want the state to know how many people are actually against this, you need a petition. So you've got a petition up at Deflock CT, right?
DeflockCT.org. Yep, .org. Yep.
Okay.
So we got the petition up there. I think it's just a good base level statement of I disagree with these cameras, and I think that we should take them all down, delete all the databases, and really change the state law to outlaw these being used by municipalities and the state government. It's a very simple petition, but it's just trying to make the big bullet points that hopefully everyone can agree with.
Here, I'll show the crowd what it looks like. I'm going to share the screen.
Okay.
I have it up right now. I've been looking at it, my friend. I already did it. So, okay. So, anyway, so this is it. It's very simple. It says right here to the governor of the state of Connecticut and the Connecticut General Assembly and every town, city, borough, municipality, and local government in Connecticut. We, the people of Connecticut, We, the people of Connecticut, demand an immediate end to the use of automated license plate readers, block cameras, and similar mass vehicle surveillance technology by state and local government. We demand that the Connecticut General Assembly enact legislation prohibiting the government use of ALPRs, flock cameras, and similar automated vehicle tracking systems. We demand that every municipality and local government immediately cease operating in or participating in such surveillance programs. So we demand action. You know what I mean? And it's very simple. Like you said, your name, your email, your zip.
Action. Remove the cameras, delete the databases, end the tracking, change the laws. That's it. Like that's what we're calling for to happen here.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Milford seems to be the battleground for this because I'm looking at other cities. And when the citizens come to their alderman and say, we don't want these, somewhere like Middletown decided not to put them in, right? Somewhere like Newtown decided. They listened. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't Milford, the Milford chief of police, including the mayor and certain aldermen, seemed to be digging their heels in on this issue and not listening to the people. And I'm very surprised about that because if you look around the state, a lot of communities have decided not to use them because of outcry from the citizens. So let's talk real tax. The city of Milford has a recall law in their books. Now, it's not a state thing because, believe it, I already inquired if the state has a recall law because I lived in California and I saw how they got, I think it was Gray Davies out, and I knew, you could do it. So anyway, they have a recall law, and I don't, that is an extreme measure, but you could actually get a petition together to recall an alderman from his seat because you feel like he is not representing you, right?
Yeah. That's what I understand as well. So in Milford, they have a recall petition, a mechanism in their, whatever they want to call it, city charter, their city law. So they could start floating petitions, circulating petitions to recall aldermen in the city of Milford. And really, that's where real change happens.
I think that's how you get them to listen to you. Like, let them know you're serious.
Absolutely, because it's like, look at already what's happening. I mean, we got state legislators that voted for flock cameras to be enacted in the state of Connecticut that are starting to change their tune. Like even Governor Lamont himself. Like as you said, this is not a partisan issue. This is a wide-ranging issue that majority of people in the state seem to not want to be spied on by their government and have flock cameras go up everywhere. So even Governor Lamont himself, because there's public outcry, because they feel that wind blowing against them of public pressure, Governor Lamont's like, wait, okay, we're gonna have a moratorium. We're gonna do a pause. We're gonna 30 day. We're gonna look at this. We're gonna change something.
Right.
We're gonna It's
because
like it's
the state allowed it in the first place. Let's be real. They snuck it right through. The municipalities couldn't do it without permission from the state. Let's be real. And I happen to know the state rep from Milford. We've had him on the show, and I saw him at the town hall meeting over there. He is totally against them. This is their own rep.
Yeah.
So
So the public pressure is already working. It's causing people to change their tunes, and this is what our representative democracy is about. How it's supposed to function. These people are supposed to represent us. They're supposed to represent the values and the concerns and the freedom of the people. And when the people are demanding change or they're demanding action from their government, whether it's state, local, federal, these people are supposed to be representing us. They're supposed to change what they're doing or do something to address the concerns of the people, not to dictate to us what the lobbyists told them to do or their pet cause. They're supposed to protect
or bringing in stupid propaganda presentations from the third party. What a kick in the face that was.
I mean, in Milford specifically, the fact that the mayor and the alderman weren't willing to go stand on that stage, and they were bringing in the chief of police to tell everybody how desperately the police need this new policing power, and representatives from the vendors of the companies that are putting them in to be this big pacifier for the people. It's like the fact that the alderman and the mayor will not stand up there themselves and actually be addressed by the people and hear and listen and answer. It's insulting. It's insulting.
Yeah. I left early. I felt insulted. I got so motivated. I was telling Lou this earlier. I went home. I actually, by your sign, I said, well, he's making signs. I'm going to do something too. And I went home, designed this t-shirt, had it printed within 2 days. They were ready by Friday. I wanted to make sure they're ready by Thursday, because I guarantee you, they see a group of people wearing these shirts. They know, you know what I mean? And then they're going to start seeing people wearing them around town. And then they're going to start seeing the signs once you get them up for the lawn. Do you know what I mean? I did notice that on Gulf Street, somebody put up a big sign that said, notice, you are being surveilled. Beware. And they haven't taken it down yet. It's not a city sign. I don't know who did that, but kudos to them. So there are people out there, and I'm not one of them anymore, who are willing to take the law into their own hands, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those people could be great allies, you know what I mean, in the fight against flock cameras. And I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, those are the extreme lengths. If you won't do it, we will.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, it does. It's come down to that before.
Yes, it has.
It might have to again at some point. But I think that it's not obviously like it doesn't sound like necessarily you or me or Sarah Wood in the Milford group. Like, no one's really advocating destruction of public property.
No.
And hey, if you put a sign up in front of something, or
that's why we have signs and stuff,
with the sign, or a bunch of balloons, or I mean, these are all civil disobedience. That's not destruction of property. That's a protest in and of itself. That, I mean, there's people that'll just stand up in front of
I saw that. It's great.
Sign on a pole for hours and hours just to
block it.
Not a public awareness.
Those are the real warriors. Do you know what I mean? I love those are the people we have to bring in and like help them, fund them, whatever.
And our call to action, it sounds like, you and I are in chorus here. It's calling everybody who's going to hear this podcast to take action. You can sign a petition to start. You can show up on the street and just stand with us. Make a homemade sign. Get some markers and a poster board, and just come out to a rally or a protest or one of these meetings in Milford or somewhere else, and come get on the street with us and stand up there. And we can stand on the street corner and we can hold up signs and we can have people know that there's people in the state that are against flock cameras, and start stirring up people's imaginations here to what we can do to change this thing in Connecticut, because there's plenty of beeps. The poll that the WFSB put out was like 77% of people said they don't want flock cameras. It's like the national sentiment is they don't want flock cameras. Yep. So we're in the majority on this. We can't allow, like I was going to say, we got to wrap back into this, because we're talking about cannabis and how the state, once they see the tax incentives, got incentivized to change the law and make it. And it's the same thing now. It's like they see this power that they can put in place. They can justify it as public safety, but really they want to, they got plenty of money to put up cameras, and they don't got money to fix potholes.
You think there wasn't money exchange? They have lobbyists. Let's be real. Let's be real. I'd love to get the financial records. I really would. But anyway, we're almost out of time, Jonathan. Okay. Give us your socials, how people can get involved. I know you have a Facebook page. I know you have Instagram. And then it's this Thursday night. Is it at the City Hall this time, right?
It's at City Hall. The mayor called for this special meeting. From what I last saw in the Milford group, they were still saying that they're anticipating it to start at 7. You just mentioned 6, and I'm also mentioning 6. I'd like to be out there an hour early, because you want to make a presence. Rally. Yeah, we want to be out in front. Like, if you noticed last time, we got out there an hour early. We were able to hold our signs in front of the news report, behind the news reporters, so they saw the Deflock Connecticut signs out on the news over and over again, right? We can have a little protest out on the street as we're like on the sidewalk before the meeting. Stir up a rally an hour prior to. So I plan on pushing that out there a little bit better in the next couple days.
Good, me too.
Yep. Please sign the petition. It'll get you on the emailing list so I can follow up with you and tell you what other actions Deflock Connecticut is going to take around the state and to fight back in Milford and maybe hold other protests, other rallies around the state. Maybe start doing phone calls to
right. It's Deflock Connecticut, not just Milford.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you have a Instagram Deflock CT, is it?
And so it's funny because someone named Eric started the Deflock CT Instagram, and I was starting Deflock CT on Facebook, and we're actually.
I saw two competing books. You guys should get together and.
We just met at the last protest, so we're working together. He's very connected. He's actually a great person to have on.
I like Eric a lot. I like the Pope. What is he, the Pope of something, right?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but I'm coordinating somewhat with him too. So we got a good group of people coming together that all understand this isn't about party or even any other issue you might have a stance on in the whole world. We're all coming together to say we don't like flock cameras. We don't want these things. We're going to fight back to get rid of these things. And like you said, to the bitter end, we're not going to stop. There's still a camera. I want it down. So we're just going to keep pushing forward. If people sign the petition, I can send you an e-blast with the Facebook group. I maybe even link to the Instagram of Eric. And also, like you mentioned, givesendgo.com/deflockct. Literally, I'm just trying to raise a few $100s here and there to buy another thing of lawn signs. I post the receipt online. It's it costs $170. I put 100. Can I raise 170? It's not making any money.
Well, it's the same with these shirts. I took it out of my pocket. You know what I mean? I don't care. And I'm going to reinvest it. I'm going to get stickers. I'm going to go further. You got to. All right. So, Jonathan, thank you. I will see you Thursday. Thank you. That's Deflock, Connecticut. And we got to sign off. Harry, hit that music.
Thanks, Chef.
Thank you, John.
Have a great day. See you Thursday.
All right. Yes, I will. All right. Like, share, subscribe. At Joe the Weed Guy. At Haven Media. Thursday night at the meeting. Thank you. We'll see you next week with Park City Harvest. And peace and love to everybody.
Peace out.
Peace out.